Right now, today, as you are watching this video, there are over 80,000 empty truck seats in the United States. 80,000 trucks sitting in yards, sitting in terminals, sitting in dealership lots, with no one to drive them. And every single one of those empty seats represents freight that is not moving, products that are not reaching store shelves, deliveries that are running late, supply chains that are quietly fraying at the edges in ways most Americans do not notice until suddenly they do. And the trucking industry, the carriers, the associations, the lobbyists, the people with money invested in keeping this machine running, they have a very specific story they want you to believe about why those seats are empty. They call it a driver shortage. They say America does not have enough truck drivers. They say young people are not interested in the career. They say the aging workforce is retiring faster than new drivers can replace them. What they do not say, what they work very hard to avoid saying, is the real reason drivers are leaving. The reason that experienced drivers, people with 10, 15, 20 years behind the wheel, people who love this industry and this lifestyle, are walking away from their CDLs and their trucks and their careers and saying enough. And that real reason is not a shortage of people who want to drive trucks. That real reason is what we are going to talk about today. Let me give you the numbers first, because the numbers tell a story that the official narrative does not want you to see clearly. There are 3.54 million truck drivers employed in the United States right now. Ohio truck sales 3.5 million people. That is not a small workforce. That is one of the largest single occupational categories in the entire American economy. And yet the estimated shortfall sits at 60,000 drivers in 2024, expected to rise to over 80,000 by the end of 2025. Ohio truck sales. So the question you should be asking is, if there are 3.5 million drivers, why are there 80,000 empty seats? The answer is not that not enough people have CDLs. We have more CDL holders now than we did pre-pandemic. Rush truck centers, more people are licensed to drive trucks today than at any point in American history. The answer is something much more uncomfortable. Turnover among long-haul drivers at many large carriers routinely averages above 90% annually. Peterbilt 90%. Think about what that means. At a carrier with 1,000 drivers, 900 of them leave and have to be replaced every single year. Not because 900 people decided to leave the industry. In many cases, because 900 people decided they could not afford to stay at that carrier under those conditions. They churn to another carrier. They go regional. They go local. They become owner-operators, or they leave entirely. The myth is fueled by turnover. Many confuse high churn with a shortage. Rush truck centers, and that confusion, whether it is accidental or deliberate, has allowed the industry to avoid addressing the real problem for decades. So what is the real problem? Let me walk you through it honestly, because this is the part that current drivers already know in their bones and that potential drivers absolutely need to hear before they sign anything. The first real problem is pay, and specifically the gap between what drivers are told they will earn and what they actually take home. The carriers advertise cents per mile, 35 cents per mile, 40 cents per mile, 55 cents per mile for experienced drivers, and those numbers sound reasonable until you understand what they do not include. Detention time, the hours you spend waiting at a shipper or receiver while your truck sits at a dock and the clock runs but the miles do not. Detention time is either unpaid or paid at a rate that does not come close to compensating a driver for their time. Loading and unloading time, pre-trip, inspection time, fueling time, the time you spend doing the job that is not turning wheels on a highway. Long hours on the road, extended time away from home, and irregular schedules make trucking a demanding career. Peterbilt, but the hours are even longer than the driving hours. A driver who logs 11 hours of driving in a day may have spent 14 or 16 total hours working and been paid for 11 of them. That gap between hours worked and hours compensated is one of the most persistent and most quietly infuriating realities of professional trucking. And it is one of the primary reasons experienced drivers eventually reach a breaking point. Over 90% of truckload carriers raised driver pay in 2021. Wikipedia, that sounds like progress, and in isolation it was. But those pay increases happened during a freight boom that is now over. Freight volumes are still below 2019 benchmarks, with many sectors soft. The result is trucks sitting idle, not because there is no one to drive them, but because there is nothing to haul. Rush truck centers when freight volumes drop, miles drop. When miles drop, pay drops, because the pay is per mile. A driver who earned $75,000 during the freight boom of 2021 may be earning $50,000 or $55,000 today. SAMTD. Same experience, same truck, less money. And the bills did not go down with the freight rates. The second real problem is costs, and specifically how fast the costs of being a truck driver, especially an owner-operator, have risen compared to how fast the revenue has risen. Rising fuel prices jumped 26% year over year in 2023. Maintenance costs rose 12% in just 1 year, bringing them to 20 cents per mile. Operational costs for trucking companies rose by 6% from 2023 to 2024, with insurance premiums increasing by 5%. Wikipedia let me make that real for you. An owner-operator running 120,000 miles per year at 20 cents per mile in maintenance costs is spending $24,000 a year just keeping the truck running. Insurance premiums that were $12,000 a year are now $15,000 or $16,000. Fuel costs that were manageable in 2020 became crushing in 2022 and 2023 and have not fully recovered since. Tire costs alone saw a 15% increase in the past year. Wikipedia, a full set of drive tires on a Class 8 truck costs thousands of dollars. Owner-operators replace tires multiple times per year. That 15% increase is not an abstract percentage. It is real money coming out of a real paycheck. And here is the thing that makes all of this especially brutal. The freight rates that pay the driver for their miles did not keep pace with the cost increases. During the freight boom, they went up, but then they came back down. The cost did not come back down with them. They stayed up. And the squeeze between lower revenue and higher costs is exactly where thousands of owner-operators currently find themselves, working harder than they ever have, for less money than they made 3 years ago, against costs that are higher than they have ever been. The third real problem is time away from home. And this is the one that almost never gets quantified in data, but that drivers will tell you, honestly, privately, late at night, is the real reason they eventually leave. Long-haul and over-the-road trucking are the most impacted by the shortage, where lifestyle demands and time away from home are most pronounced. Peterbilt, an over-the-road driver, might be home for 2 days after spending 3 weeks on the road. They miss birthdays, they miss anniversaries, they miss their children's school events and sports games and graduations. They wake up in a sleeper bunk in a truck stop, in a state they did not know they were going to be in when the day started, and they call home, and the phone connection is bad, and the conversation is short, and then they go to sleep because they have a pickup at 5 a.m. Many potential drivers are deterred by the lifestyle, especially younger workers seeking a better work-life balance. Peterbilt, but it is not just young people who are deterred. It is experienced drivers who have been doing this for 15 years, and one day the scale tips. One missed event too many. One child who stops asking when dad or mom is coming home because they have stopped expecting an answer that means anything. That is the moment drivers leave. Not because the job became too hard, because the sacrifice stopped feeling worth it. The fourth real problem is respect. And I know that sounds soft compared to pay numbers and fuel costs, but every experienced driver I have ever talked to eventually comes back to this. Truck drivers move 72% of everything in America. Every piece of food on your table, every item of clothing in your closet, every piece of furniture in your home, every medication in your cabinet. A truck driver moved it. Without truck drivers, the American economy does not function, not partially, not poorly, not sluggishly. It stops completely. And yet the truck driver, the person who made all of that happen, is treated at shipping docks like an inconvenience, made to wait for hours without compensation, given no bathroom access, no place to rest, no acknowledgement that their time has value, issued citations in cities designed entirely without consideration for where a 70-foot vehicle is supposed to go, photographed and scrutinized at weigh stations, pressured by dispatchers to push hours of service limits in ways that create genuine safety risks. Every unseated tractor suppresses revenue and network reliability. Training replacements and reseating units absorb dispatch and safety bandwidth. Higher recruiting spend means fleets spend heavily on advertising, orientation, travel, and training. Those costs do not create new capacity. They mostly offset churn. Peterbilt, the industry, spends enormous amounts of money replacing drivers it could have kept if it had treated those drivers with more dignity and more fairness in the first place. Now here is the part of this conversation that gets genuinely controversial. Because not everyone agrees that the driver shortage is real in the way the industry describes it. There is no widespread truck driver shortage in 2025. Rush Truck Centers, that is the position of some of the most respected freight analysts in the industry. Their argument is compelling. You do not shut down 25,000 driver carriers like Yellow or C35,000 plus trucking companies go out of business in a single year, which happened in 2023 if there is a shortage of drivers. You see it when there is a shortage of freight. Rush Truck Centers, and they have a point. The official driver shortage narrative has been used, sometimes cynically, to justify policies that serve everyone except drivers. It has been used to argue for loosening CDL requirements. It has been used to accelerate autonomous truck development. It has been used to justify importing foreign labor. The shortage narrative generates traffic. It stirs fear. It justifies importing foreign labor, suppressing wages, expanding CDL mills, and even rolling out driverless truck trials under the guise of filling the gap. It is weaponized to serve political, financial, or institutional agendas. Rush Truck Centers, but here is the more nuanced truth that sits between the official shortage narrative and the complete denial of it. The ATA chief economist said at the 2025 American Trucking Association's management conference that what the United States has is a quality problem around drivers, much more so than an absolute number. It is the quality of the labor, drug and alcohol testing, accidents, diesel repair, in other words. There may be enough bodies with CDLs. There are not enough experienced, clean record, professionally committed drivers. And the gap between those two things is exactly where the crisis lives. So what does all of this mean for someone who is thinking about a trucking career right now, or someone who is currently driving and trying to decide whether to stay? Here is the honest picture. The median pay for heavy and tractor-trailer drivers in 2025 is over $55,000 per year, with many drivers earning significantly more, especially those in specialized or long-haul roles. Wallwork Trucks Trucking is not a poverty wage career. For drivers who find the right operation, the right carrier, the right routes, the right spec truck, it is a genuinely viable and financially rewarding profession that does not require a college degree and offers work that matters in a way that very few jobs can claim. The shortage is most acute in over-the-road and long-haul trucking, where lifestyle demands and time away from home are most pronounced. Peterbilt but regional and local driving, work that gets you home most nights, is more available right now than at almost any point in recent history, precisely because fleets are trying desperately to attract, retain drivers by offering home time that OTR cannot provide. For OTR fleets, the response in 2025 is clear. Regionalize where possible, expand drop and hook, and design relays that put more drivers home more often, paired with compensation that recognizes all working hours, not just driving time. Peterbilt, the industry, is slowly, reluctantly, beginning to respond to the real reasons drivers leave. Not fast enough for the drivers who already left, but faster than it has ever moved before. And then there is the question that nobody wants to answer directly. What happens if this does not get fixed? The ATA estimates that 1.2 million new drivers will be needed in the next decade to account for the current aging workforce. Ohio truck sales 1.2 million. That is not a gap that fixes itself. That is not a gap that autonomous trucks can close in the next 10 years. The technology is advancing, but widespread adoption is years away, and in the near term, human drivers remain essential. Peterbilt, if the trucking industry does not find a way to make the career genuinely attractive, not through marketing campaigns or CDL mill sign-on bonuses, but through real pay, real respect, real home time, and real recognition that the person behind the wheel is the most important person in the entire supply chain, then the 80,000 empty seats today become 150,000 empty seats in 5 years, and 150,000 empty seats in 5 years. And 150,000 empty seats do not mean late deliveries. They mean a supply chain that begins to structurally fail in ways that every American feels every day. The trucks do not move by themselves. The freight does not organize itself. The economy does not function without the people who chose this career and showed up every day and drove the miles and made the deliveries and kept the country running. Drivers are not quitting because they do not love trucking. Most of them love trucking. Most of them would not trade the open road, the freedom, the independence, the pride of moving a full load safely across 1,000 miles. They would not trade that for almost any other job they could imagine. They are quitting because the industry stopped treating them like that work was worth what it costs the person doing it. And until that changes, the seats stay empty.